So this is basically an addendum, additional video since instead of making an entire new set of videos with the new release of the Centrify software, I'm just quickly going to make Windows installation video here because so much has changed at the end here with how it looks. So I'm going to be installing with 2017.3. Again, we've changed the name to Infrastructure Services, so it won't say Centrify Service Suite, but it's the same thing. Again, I'm assuming you've watched all the other videos and everything's been set up from the back end. I'm just doing a new Windows installation video because things have changed about how the install works, or how it looks. It works pretty much the same. So I'm going to run the installation. And again, if you don't already have everything set up in the back end, this isn't going to help you at all. I'm assuming you've already set up the Centrify zones. You have a zone here, and I'm going to join my Windows machine too. If I say show effective Windows user rights, whoever my test user is, mine's going to be dworth. You're going to make sure they have some kind of Windows log on. So all this has been set up in the and shown in the previous videos, and I'm assuming you have all that. So here's the installation from this is 2017.3. Accept all the agreements. Decide where you're going to install it. So the main thing is it's a little bit different at the end because we have you installing services, and you'll see different options depending on what has already been installed. And there's some other options to join the Windows to the tenant. So there's an entire Centrify platform, and there can be an on-premise version of this platform or a tenant in the cloud. And that's why this new installation videos show those kind of options. You can join this Windows machine to the rest of the platform. Join the Windows machine to the tenant, or join it to the rest of the platform. That's a couple different options. So I'm going to run the agent configuration, which was at the bottom left there. Now this is where it gets a little, it's changed since the last videos, and we've changed it since 2017.1. So when I click on here and I say add service, what you see here, depending on your environment, a lot of people will bring this up and they won't see what they want. They'll just see the Identity Services platform. The standard service suite, which is all basically on-premise, doesn't have to go out to the cloud at all, doesn't have to use the rest of the tenant. What used to be called Centrify Service Suite, what you want to install, the Windows Service Suite agent, the Privilege Management agent, this is what you want, the Centrify Privilege Elevation Service. In this lab that I'm working on now, I have the auditing environment set up, so I have this option. You might not see this option at all. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize, I have some screenshots here of some other installations I've done. When you add this service, this Privilege Elevation Service option only shows up if you already have at least one Centrify zone. We can look inside of AD and see if you have a Centrify zone. A lot of people go straight to the Windows installation video, don't install any zones, or they're on a different machine in a different AD. And what happens, they click on Add Service, and all they see is the Identity Service Platform option because they haven't installed any zones. So the assumption of this installation is, why install the agent if you don't have any zones and back up and have the zones and all that back-end stuff set up. So a lot of people might get here, click on the Identity Services Platform button, and since that's really going towards a tenant, they don't have it, and they might get this error. So it has either your tenant in the cloud or an on-premise version of the platform. You need to have that if you're going to click this option for the Identity Service. So in this video, what we really want to install is the Privilege Elevation Service. That's the traditional Windows agent for Service Suite or Privilege Management or Direct Authorized for Windows. We used to call it all those names. So if I click on Centrify Privilege Elevation Service, that's what I want, and then I click OK. And then basically here you want to find your zone. I have a whole bunch of things here. This is a lab I spent a lot of time playing with. So I want to find the right zone. You can be open up the in folder so you know you're in the right place. Hit next. And there it goes. Now I'm in installation. The rest should pretty much be the same if you watched the other videos and if you're used to installing the Windows agent at all or just saw the previous video. Now it's basically installing the agent. The assumption is here again that you've set up everything right in the zones. You haven't locked yourself out. I'm going to have to restart here. So if I go back over to my zones, if I do a refresh, this computer right here was called Member 2. Now I have additional Member 2 that just showed up. So the installation looked good. It showed up in my zones. I go back over to my machine. And we'll give it a second here to boot up. You should still be able to log in. Oh, I mentioned it in the other videos. I didn't mention at the beginning of this video. You needed to be on a domain and you're logging in with a user that was part of the domain. Obviously, you wouldn't have gotten this far if you didn't have that. I forgot to mention that. So now I'm going to log back in. I should still be able to log in with my AD account. The Centrify agent, if you join to a zone, it is kind of like a firewall, deny unless explicitly allowed. So you had to assume, or I assumed that you set everything up correctly, that I allow my test user to log in. And that's what we, again, showed that back end. So Centrify agent all here is running. You'll see things like this part right here. I can go into some different options in here. This lets me know that was one of them. So I can change some information here, the desktops. I can do some other things inside the authorization center there. So this actually, for my current user, I can look at some stuff here. My current rights and roles. Again, this is a lab. I have a whole bunch of overlapping roles. It's not necessary, but it is a lab that I play in. You can also look at, if I go into where Centrify was installed, see program files. Make this bigger. Look at that. So, see program files, Centrify Windows agent. There's actually, if you scroll down, what we call Centrify.directAuthorize. So here's a Centrify.directAuthorize agent.config. If I click on that, here's a great little troubleshooting tool. If you need to change the zone afterwards, change what zone you're joined to. The equivalent on the Unix side is AD join. This, you could change that. And then you can even, on the troubleshooting, you can go into some of here on the customer support and change the options if you need to change it to a debug mode. Also, this refreshes the cache, so the agent communicates with AD, its closest domain controller, and gets a new copy of the Centrify policy. That's similar to the AD flush command on the Unix. So there you go. I should all be good to go. I have now installed the privilege management agent on this Windows machine. The rest of the videos where you have the user doing the privilege elevation, that's all going to be the same. I just wanted to have a little addendum here for the installation since it did change with the addition of those new ad services. Thank you very much.